Part 3 of my interview with Loren Lockman. I'm sure you'll enjoy this part as well.
Well, yes and no. So it's important to point out that the human body, like every other living organism, we're not special, but every organism is, in every single moment of its life, is attempting to take itself, to lift itself to the highest level of health and functioning possible. But it doesn't happen that often with humans, right? I mean, how many people do you know that are walking around in perfect health? Probably not so many, right? Why is that? Well, that's because most of us are making poor choices. We're probably not eating an optimal diet most of the time, most people that I know. Probably not going to bed when we really need to, and not getting enough sleep, and maybe not getting enough sunlight. I know some of you are watching this from Sweden. Not enough sunlight most of the year. There's lots, and I love Sweden, it's a beautiful country, but not enough sunlight. So there's lots of ways we don't meet our body's needs. And the problem is that if we improve anything, if we get off the drugs, and we improve the diet, and we start getting enough sunlight, and we start getting enough exercise, if that's appropriate, because it's not always. If we're very weak and sick, we're better off resting. Exercise when we're strong. But even if we did all the best things to do without fasting, we would certainly get better. We would get healthier. As soon as we improve one thing, even a little bit, the body's going to get healthier, right? Improve your diet a little bit. Your body now has more energy and vitality to be able to cleanse and heal. But can you do what you would accomplish with water-only fasting?
Right.
Well, if you had 10 or 20 years, maybe. The question is, do you really want to wait 10 or 20 years to get the results that you could have next month?
Wow.
5 or 6 weeks from the time you start, because literally that's what happens. And I can explain why, at least to a certain extent. I mean, some of it is kind of like magic, but it seems that way when you see it. And I've seen 15 years, 2,000 people, I've seen so many miracles. It's incredible. Stay tuned, there will be a book in about a year with those stories. In the meantime, if you can simply consider the fact that roughly 50% of all the body's energy goes towards processing our food. Roughly 35% of all the body's energy goes to run the brain and central nervous system. So we're already at 85%, and we haven't gotten out of bed yet, brushed our teeth, done anything else the body needs to do. And all the rest of that happens, everything we do, all the physical work we do, everything else that happens, uses only 15% of the body's energy. So if we stop eating, let me continue. Let's say that we do everything we need, and because of the average diet, most people are probably expending way more energy processing food than they would really need to. But let's say that after everything else is said and done, maybe 2 or 3% of the body's energy is available when we're living our normal lives and eating to cleanse and heal. 2 or 3%. Now we fast. We still have that same 2 or 3%, but now we also have 50% that we're not using for processing food. And if we close our eyes and turn off the central nervous system to the extent we can, in other words, we stop thinking. This isn't the time people come, well, I'm going to spend a month there. I'll read all these books I want to read, and I'll write my magnum opus, my life story, this great work I've got stuck in my head. Or I'll learn a new language. This is not a good idea, because all of these things require a lot of mental energy. And what you want to do instead is close your eyes and just meditate if you can. Relax as much as possible. Enjoy the beautiful scenery without trying to figure out why that tree is grown the way, don't do unnecessary mental activity. If we do that, we liberate some of that 35% as well. Let's say it's only 5%. In any case, we've gone from roughly 2% of our body's energy to roughly 60% available to cleanse and heal. And what happens is nothing short of miraculous on a consistent and regular basis. So most people come. You know, if you're watching this right now and you are 50 years old, I'm almost 50 years old, you will literally leave here between 10 and 20 years younger physiologically. Okay, if you're 18, you won't be 20 years younger. Okay, because that would be uncomfortable.
How long would you need to fast to experience that?
To experience 10 or 20 years?
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that can happen with even a 4-week stay, which is a 21-day fast. And you know, again, I know 21 days sounds like a long time, but remember, the average person has between 6 and 8 weeks.
Right.
And you yourself fasted 21 days?
Yes.
And it's been how many days now? 5, 6 days?
Yeah.
And you're feeling and functioning great?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a fairly typical thing. You know, most people are thinking, you can't live 21 days without food, but you can very well.
Oh yeah.
and be much better off for it when you're finished.
Yeah. Can you do it at home, or
Sure.
or is it better to have it supervised, and why?
Well, those are two different questions.
Yeah.
You can do it at home, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, although fasting is a completely natural process and is usually completely safe, if you happen to be that tiny percentage, you know, that where it's a fatality when you're on your own, it's 100% of the time when it's you, right? So it's unlikely, but there are stories. Stephen has a friend in Australia. One of our clients here now has a friend in Australia whose housemate fasted on her own last year and died. Okay, that doesn't happen very often with experienced supervision, because every day we look at vital signs, we make sure that you're getting enough water, we make sure that everything is safe and as it should be. And it's important to understand that you have to know even what to look for. So people say sometimes, well, I'm going to fast at home, but I've got a friend that's a doctor that's going to come and look in on me. Okay, good luck. I fasted, I think, 6 doctors, 6 MDs over the years, and all of them would have gladly told you they didn't know anything about fasting. They did not know what was okay and what wasn't okay. They would not have been capable of properly supervising a fast, because what they expect to see and are okay seeing in someone who's eating and functioning normally is very different than what happens when someone's fasting. There's another thing. Many people try fasting on their own at home. And aside from any potential safety issues, the fact is, it's hard to do. Most people have a hard time not eating, not being active, and often what happens is they break their fast prematurely because they've got something going on and they just don't know if it's okay or not. I had a client once who decided that it was too expensive to come fast with us. And he happened to be about half an hour from where we were located at the time. But he called me up one day and he said, Loren, I'm fasting. And I've been fasting for 2 weeks. He said, but I'm getting kind of nervous because there's some crazy things happening. And I don't know. He said, so I said, listen, just relax. I'm going to drive over to your house. I'll come take a look and see how you're doing. So I go to his house. I walk in his bedroom, and he's lying on his bed like this. He's stiff as a board. He's petrified because he's got all these crazy symptoms, and he doesn't know if it's okay or not.
Right.
And, I've told you over and over again, and everybody else here, you want to rest as much as possible. How much rest do you think he was getting? That's not restful. So it's not really beneficial if you're not resting.
Yeah.
If you're using all your energy in major distress, you're not going to get much benefit from the process. So, this, for most people, this is the single most profound, beneficial, powerful, and empowering thing that they ever do, if they do it. And I would say it's important enough that, yeah, there's an investment involved, no doubt about it. We can't operate without some money, but it's not a major investment when you think about the fact that it literally can take your quality of life from here to here. Dramatically improve your quality of life. And if you think you're doing well now, I guarantee you can function at a much higher level than you ever thought you could. Because I've seen this over and over again and experienced it myself. So, I hope you'll consider, if you're committed to feeling and functioning as well as possible, it might be worth doing the single most profound thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.